Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in to Bannockburn Stories. Today we have an amazing story with Valerie. Valerie's been part of Bannockburn for some time now, and very excited about her sharing her story with us today on just forgiveness, working through sin. And so Valerie, thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing your story today. And I know you've been here at Bannockburn. You actually serve at this church, and you help us with our grief share, which is a tremendous ministry that we have out of here at Bannockburn. But super excited about having you on the couch today. So I'll ask you, we'll jump in a little bit. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Woodstock, Illinois.
Woodstock, Illinois. Okay. And what brought you down this way, or did you always been down here?
No, the Great Depression of 1980.
Okay.
My husband at the time and I was in real estate. He was in construction. It was horrible there, but wonderful in Texas, supposedly. So we hooked up the U-Haul and came to Texas.
Well, that's what they say. Everybody moved to Texas.
That's right.
Well, Valerie, let's just get into your story and kind of walk me through a pretty tough day in your life, I would say. I don't even know if that describes it, but a tragic day in your life. Walk me through that day, if you would.
Well, it was in 1985, and it was a beautiful day. It was 70 degrees and sunny, and we had a boat, and that was our lifestyle. And the things we did on the weekend was do boating. And my husband and my son, who was 9, his best friend, who was 10, and my husband's youngest brother, who was 17, all went out in the boat. I had just gotten a brand new job, was very excited, and my mom had just sent me money to buy an outfit.
That's okay.
So I got home from shopping about 5 in the afternoon and thought that they'd be home soon, made supper, and waited, and they didn't come, and the news was talking about a terrible blue norther, a terrible windstorm blowing in, and it was not predicted earlier in the day. Like I said, the day was absolutely gorgeous, and so they were out on the lake, and this blue norther was coming in, and I hadn't heard from them. At the time, we didn't have cell phones, so I just jumped in my car and drove out to Lake Granger.
And that's here in Texas?
Right. It's just north of Georgetown.
Yeah.
And pulled into the parking lot, and there was our van and our boat trailer, and no boat, no one around, no other vehicle around. So I knew, and the storm, I stopped to get gas on the way, and oh my gosh, the wind was blowing so hard I thought it was going to blow me over. It was so bad. So I knew they had to be off the lake. So when I got there, they weren't. At least the boat wasn't in where it was supposed to be. So I looked around for a phone, and I couldn't see anyone. It was pitch black out, and all of a sudden, in the far distance, I saw a telephone sign. So I called the police, told them I was worried, and it happened that my husband at the time was on the water rescue team, so he was known by the sheriff's department, and they did all they could and came right out there, and they told me, go home, see if maybe he got to a farm and he's going to call you. Someone has to be at your home to answer the phone. So I did what he said and waited all night, and then about 5 in the morning, they came walking up to my door.
The police?
The police came up to the door, and of course, and that's how I found out that my life was changed forever, because everyone in the boat was killed. The worst part was they couldn't find him. About 30 days later, I was at my new job in training in Houston, and a phone call came through, and it was an emergency call for me, and it was right around my birthday in February. The police had found them in the boat, and it was confirmed that they were all dead. So that's that terrible day.
That's a terrible day, and I'm sorry.
Thank
And,
you.
let's walk through a little bit. I mean, and we get through that day, and you have to. I mean, there's grieving. There's all the stages of grief. I'm sure you went through multiple times in a situation like this. I mean, it's a nightmare of a situation, losing a husband and a son, and the others as well. But you were telling me a little while ago something that I really want you to kind of elaborate on, because I mean, when these things happen to us as Christians, as believers, we do have something to hang on to and to cry out to and to reach out to, but you were telling me you didn't have that.
Right.
Walk through that a little bit with me.
Well, thank you, God, for giving me parents who absolutely forced me to go to Sunday school and church and youth camps in the summertime. I secretly enjoyed them. I enjoyed being a part of that community, but church was very important to our family, and it kind of held us all together. So thank goodness I was brought up that way.
So you had a foundation.
I did.
The foundation was there, maybe not living it or knowing it at that
Right.
time, but the foundation was built as a younger
Exactly.
person.
And I'll come back to that.
Okay.
But soon after I graduated from high school, I, of course, like many young people, decided to go my own way, that I knew everything, and just did a deep dive into sin. And by the time I was 21, I had I really told myself I wasn't going to cry.
It's okay. I mean, it's
Because we're just talking now.
yeah, we're just talking.
That's good. So anyway, by the time I was 21, I had broken all 10 commandments. And I think the one that was the last straw for me was I had an abortion. And I knew it wasn't right. But I didn't feel like I had any way out. And then I thought that was the bottom of my life. Well, but then my husband and son were killed. And I was still living in sin. I tried to kill myself. But then one day, for many days, I was holding myself together somehow, some way, because I had a brand new job. I was trying to learn and teach other people about real estate. And I just held myself together in the day, but when night came, I cried all night long. I could not stop. I don't know how I stopped in the morning to go to work. I don't know how I kept my job. I do now, but at the time, I was so scared. I had headaches all day long. I'll spare you all the gory details, but one night I finally got done with trying to figure it out myself. It took me a year, a whole year after that accident. I struggled through keeping myself together.
Hanging on to something.
Yeah.
Just hanging on, surviving
Yeah.
life
Not even
and tragedy and
yeah.
trying to figure out the future. Where does your life go from
I don't-
here? I'm sure there's all those emotions that are just
Right. More leaning towards how can I end my life than
Yeah.
where is my life going to go?
Okay.
Because for me, it was
but you're
done
still working
for.
and you're still
I am,
Yeah.
yes, holding
So
on
there's
to something.
There's a tug there, I'm sure. You know, I'm
Yeah.
still working. I've still got I have to, but then there's like I just want this pain to end. I'm sure
Yeah.
you didn't want to die. And most people who go through suicide doesn't want to die. They just want that
Oh, no.
pain to stop.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I had my hand on the steering wheel, and I knew I only had to move it 2 inches, and I would plow right into that pillar.
And the pain would be gone.
Yeah, that was my thought. And then I just happened to glance out of my eye a car that was there, and I said, but I can't kill other people. So I didn't do it. But boy, I was so close. But that one night, I finally was brought to my knees, and not even my knees, prostate. And I just begged God to help me to stop crying. That's my main concern. I couldn't stop crying. And I am not kidding, the minute I said it, bam, I stopped crying.
Yeah.
And it was like a ray of my heart, a ray came out of my heart, like, you can do this, Valerie. It was the moment I would stop being a victim and I decided to be a survivor. And God did it. I mean, it is so clear in my mind, it's like black and white, and I'm so thankful that I have that testimony to say there is a difference. You grieve when you don't have Christ. Oh my gosh, it's just a never-ending battle of headaches and not sleeping and not wanting to eat and red eyes all the time and constant crying. But when you have God in your life, you still grieve, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course.
I still cry now about it. But there's hope. There's something to live for. For one, I'm looking forward to seeing my son again. And every day I get closer to that.
Yeah.
But so many good things came after that one day when I got prostrate.
Yeah, I'd like to go there for a minute.
Okay.
Would you feel like in that moment where you just said, I'm laying down, I'm crying out to a God of this foundation that was built early on, right?
Exactly.
Because all those camps and those times mom and dad drug you to church and, and it just was all impacting in that moment where do you feel like you had an encounter with God right there in that moment? And you feel like that's where he became real to you? Is that when he became your Lord, would you say?
Absolutely, Casey. That's the only way I could think to say it. And that's where I say thank God for my parents, and I would encourage parents everywhere. It is a pain to drag your kids to Sunday school when they'd rather stay home and watch Disney or whatever it happens to be. And just keep doing it.
A lot of people say I've heard this many times that they have a drug problem, and growing up that their parents drugged them to church. Everything.
Oh, that's a good one.
But it sticks, and that
Right.
is a great reminder to parents of someone who has 2 teenage boys, is that you continue to pour that foundation in.
Yes.
Because you never know what God's going to do with it. Well, then, so tell me a little bit. I mean, horrible. God did something big in that, and you began to then see a new light.
Yes.
You began to now see a possible, and word this the right way, maybe even a purpose.
Not quite yet.
Not quite yet, but you're working toward that.
I'm working toward that.
You're starting to do, because I really want to get to the point of what you do and how you serve this church. And so, through your story, you're able to help others find that hope. So just kind of walk me through it a little bit of that, if you would.
Well, the first thing God did after he forgave me was he put my husband in my life, a godly man.
Your husband now?
Yes,
Yeah.
my current husband. A wonderful man, and he makes me laugh every day. And I needed someone like that. And so that was the first step. And then my husband led me to the Lord, the knowledge of the Lord.
Yeah.
And then I got baptized, and then we were married.
Wow.
And we're blessed with a daughter ourselves. So, and besides that, every need was always met throughout my life. I look back and think, how does that happen? And then it's not just our needs. We are so blessed beyond our needs. We have more than we want. And I just feel an overwhelming desire to please God, to thank Him. And so that brought me to knowing that even though it's so painful to deal with people's grief, I mean, I'm speaking to the choir, I'm sure. But every time it brings back your own grief, and you can't help but go there. If you're really wanting to help somebody, you've got to go there with them.
Yeah.
And I knew that it probably was going to have something to do with that. And sure enough, one day there's an announcement about Grief Share starting. And so I contacted Pastor Chuck, who put me through a grueling interview.
I can see that.
But he willingly accepted me and my husband to help facilitate Grief Share. And as much as I don't want people to have to come to Grief Share, I don't want them to be in my club, I can honestly say that it serves me. It gives me so much warmth. And I feel like I'm paying my dues, so to speak, even though our actions don't get us into heaven.
That's right.
But once you are accepted, it is important to do your part and help others come along to Christ. And I really enjoy doing that.
Well, it also, what you get to do, it's healing.
For me.
For a lot of people.
Yeah,
when we share our stories and we're able to share our hurts and our pains, our tragedies, there's a healing that comes with it. That I really believe that God uses, when He's using us to share our stories with somebody else, He's doing something in us as well. And so I thank you for doing that. Thank you for pouring into our church. And you said it, sadly, I don't want anybody to go through what you went through, but life is life and it's going to happen. And if we need people that like you, who've gone through those things, to be able to pour into those, because then one day the people you're pouring into now, they're going to be used as well in somebody's life that is also going through what they've gone through. One last thing, if somebody's watching this and maybe they're going through not exactly what you went through, but that type of pain and hurt. Maybe they've lost somebody very close in their lives, or maybe even speaking to those who are going to, because it's inevitable that we will lose somebody close to us. What would you say to the people watching this now?
I'd say you have a choice. You can ask Jesus to help you, and He will, or you can tough it out on your own, and you'll never get to the point of having a calm, peaceful heart, because only Jesus can give that to you. So it is about knowing the Lord. And it's so important to get that foundation when your kids are young, so that they know where to go to when they grow up. And my only other advice would be, when you sin, try so hard to find someone who will help you. And if you're the parent, be fully acceptable that your kids sin and help them get through it instead of turning them away.
Very good. Thank you again. Thank you so much for sharing. Amazing what God has done in your life and how you are now being used by God to help others. And if you need Grief Share, right here, you can connect with us here at this church. Don't go through it alone. Valerie and her husband will be leading Grief Share right here at Bannockburn. We'll see you next time.